Valentine's Day. A day of romance for couples out there, or for those that are out there, it's Singles Awareness Day. Usually when people actually celebrate Valentine's Day, they go out to romantic dates, going out to a dinner and a movie, maybe just stay at home and just spend each other's time and company, as well as making food for one another, showing their love and affection for both parties. Now, if you're Dark-Sided Phil, you don't do any of that. Instead, you bring your wife on and you decide to play Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth's minigame mode, aka The Island, which nobody asked for, but yet he thought that it would make for good content. And then it was her day off, which nobody really cares about because it's just mundane shit on top of mundane shit. And then he came back, and yet he's talking about Valentine's Day, which, why would anyone care about this? I don't know.
Let's start with Wednesday night. Let's talk about the co-op we did, because it went so well, and people were really excited, and my wife was excited, and
I'm gonna stop him right there. No one was really excited for it, except for Jake. Sit time, roll in, and just watch Phil play this. Nobody really cared about it. If anyone really cared about it, you would see more videos about it, which, in reality, there wasn't really any. I mean, you got some people out there that actually restreamed it, and people actually enjoyed it watching the other people restreaming it. Other than that, it was just a big fucking waste of time.
I was excited because it went so well. Let's talk about this. So,
yeah, let's talk about this while he just rips a big old snort.
You have to understand how awesome this was and how important and meaningful this was to us. You know, Kat has lived with me since early 2018. We have been married now for almost 5 years.
Okay, congratulations. You've been married for 5 years. What do you want, a fucking cookie? Oh no, it has to be laced with gold so you can go sell it.
And Kat has never done any gameplay with me besides once during a Halloween marathon when basically it was really, really bad with the level of harassment she received for absolutely no reason.
But yet you blame Tevin for no reason. The thing about this whole thing where he wants to go on saying that, oh, 5 years ago it was so bad. She didn't want to do anything about it, though. But, Phil, 5 years ago, Halloween, let it the fuck go. She's back on your streams after you forced her to come on in. And she chose to stay away from it. But at the same time, I don't think you wanted her on the streams, though, because seeing the two of you interact, it's very awkward. It's like no one wants to really be there. And it's just a big ol' awkward tension in the room.
Keep in mind, that was a different format. That was on Twitch, where a lot of the moderation was very untenable.
But yeah, you still had moderators back in the day, and then barely have any now. The only times your mods ever show up is when Kat's on.
And she basically was so turned off by that experience that, you know, for years until she decided for herself, listen, I want to come back. I've had enough. I'm not going to let the nasty actions of a bunch of losers on the internet determine whether or not I want to have fun on a stream with my husband or not.
Phil, did she say this, or are you just putting words into her mouth again? Every single time that you want to say, Kat says this, Kat says that, my wife says this, it's always in the tone of you. It's always your words. We never hear what Kat has to say because you talk over her way too fucking much.
She came back to streams a month ago for 2 Q&A sessions, which went pretty well, but after 2 Q&A sessions, we realized Q&A ain't it. You know, you're going to get bored with that. The first one was exciting because it's the first time people had seen her in so many years.
Oh, yeah, it was totally exciting. I mean, a lot of people had their reactions when Kat first came back onto the streams. I mean, for God's sake, shout out to Pigzar and Hate Army for actually making those videos, showing off the true, genuine reaction of Kat's return. It was just so bad. But continuing onward this, though, you wanted to bring her on because this was during the time of the Mike Klum documentary. You figured you bring her back on, then that way when people saw her in a documentary, they're not like, oh my god, she's fat. Oh my god, building code violations and all that glorious bullshit. That's the only reason why you did it. But now there's no documentary. What's the fucking point? All right, you're still going to use her to exploit her for money.
But after that, it's like, how many questions are you going to ask, right? We want to do something meaningful together.
Phil, a lot of the people that were asking you questions, most of the questions were ignored or banned, even though there weren't really bannable or ignored questions. They were very common questions, but instead you just talked over her. All the questions that were asked were mostly Phil answering the questions. Kat barely had any interaction with that fucking Q&A at all.
So we were, you know, figuring out what do we want to do, and like, oh yeah, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth has this minigame mode called Dondoko Island that's very similar to, say, Animal Crossing or Disney Dreamlight Valley, and because you do it in the game, it is very meaningful to a playthrough. It gives you so many rewards, so much money that you can then use to go on in the game and buy equipment and level up your characters and buy jobs and things like that.
Yes, it's only good for a single player experience though. But I know a lot of people are going to say it's very boring for two people to do a single player experience. If you have the right game and if you have the right people, two people, doesn't matter if one's controlling the other one's commentating or helping out, it can be very entertaining and enjoyable.
So,
oh yeah, and also the snorts are back because whenever Phil was on when Kat was playing the game, no snorts. And now she's gone. Oh, snort ahoy.
We decided this is what we wanted to do. We both like Animal Crossing. We've both played Disney Dreamlight Valley. And my wife, of course, when she plays a game, she plays one game at a time. My wife does not juggle games. She hyper-focuses on one and plays the heck out of it.
So, like every other gamer in the face of the fucking world, or other streamers that do the same thing. They play one game, finish it, and they move on to the next one, or they just do whatever the fuck they want with it. Unlike you, the guy who proclaims himself to be a variety streamer, who quote-unquote juggles games and does that very piss poorly. I mean, for God's sakes, we have more games that were sent to the fucking ban world, more than games you actually completed.
She just beat Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, so she's already finished Dondoko Island on her playthrough, and she wanted to help out mine. So,
yeah, so you told her, hey, you're gonna do everything while I'm just talking. Great business plan.
Definitely, this is going to be a learning experience where every time we do it, it's probably going to get a little bit better. This was the first time we had ever done it. Immediately, we run into problems, okay?
Yeah, the first time that you ever done it, even though you could have done so in the fucking past, but you chose not to. And yet, all of a sudden, it's a brand new learning experience where my wife used to be fucking slender and actually look good. Now it's just a big old blob taking a majority of the camera.
So I bought an audio splitter. And the idea was to split the audio coming out of my Xbox controller. One would go to my neck phones, and I would listen, like I always do, to the audio of the game. And the other was going to go to her earbuds. She uses earbuds in the house. And they are noise isolation earbuds. Okay? So, she goes to use it. It's way too loud. She's like, ah!
Did she turn up the volume really fucking loud? I mean, that could be the option for that. What are you trying to do? Deafen your wife? Oh, that makes it a whole lot easier. That way you could plot to see whenever you exploit her. She can't hear it.
And I said, oh, because, you know, there's no audio controller here. There's no way to adjust volume. And likely what's happened is, you know, I do have an audio controller on my neck phones, but you don't have one built into your earbuds. So she's like, it's just way too, like, loud. I can't do it this way. You know?
Or it's due to the fact that you have the settings turned up way too goddamn loud. I mean, some controllers actually have that where you can actually control the audio level, but you have it way too goddamn loud. But again, since you're using those toilet seat net phones, that's the only reason why. But again, please continue.
And so then we're like, well, what are we going to do? On the fly, let's figure out a fix. All right, well, what we can do is she can plug her headphones into this guy. This is the receiver that I use. This is for my old Astro A40 headphones, which I don't use anymore. But I still use this receiver to get audio from my Switch and my PS5 out of my TV. So I said, you can plug your headphones into there, and then you can adjust because it has a volume adjuster. Okay, so let's try that.
I love the fact that now Phil's trying to pretend to be professional by showing off all these gadgets where nobody really cares about it anymore, Phil. I mean, for God's sakes, people know how to adjust the volume and adjust the settings in anything else other than a receiver. You don't really need that, Phil, but again, you're trying to pretend that you're professional when you just feign intelligence and feign professionalism.
So she plugs it in, she goes, oh, it does work, but something's weird, and she realizes, so we're in this room together. And, I mean, the whole point of co-op is cooperation, correct?
Yes, it's cooperation, but with a single-player game. The way that happened on Valentine's Day night, it was not really much cooperation at fucking all. But most of the time when people are thinking co-op, they're thinking, okay, It Takes Two, A Way Out, Mario Brothers Wonder, multiplayer. They're thinking of those type of games, but this, not so much. Again, as I mentioned earlier, if you have the right game, you have the right people, they can make it entertaining, but Phil and his wife clearly do not.
And with cooperation...
Also, his fucking leg is bouncing up and down like crazy. Like, Jesus Christ, he hates talking about this.
That's how it becomes a cool, unique thing. It's supposed to be two people listening, talking with each other, interacting, and playing a game together.
So, like a Let's Play, a cooperative one. Gotcha.
She's like, wait a minute, how am I going to do this when my earbuds are noise isolation? She goes, I have them in, I can't hear you. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. They're so good, she couldn't hear me.
You could, oh, I don't know, take one of them out and leave the other one in? I mean, it's not that hard, Phil.
So basically, I'm like, so now what are we going to do? I'm like, well, we don't have time to figure out something else on the fly. I still have my Astro A40 headphones somewhere in my closet, buried in one of the storage bins. I'm like, well,
you have these headphones that you use and you complain you had ear infections on? It's like, Phil, what the fuck's wrong with you? Do you even clean them out, bro? Or you just throw them in the closet and be like, I'll deal with them later?
we're not going to have time. We don't have an hour here to dig through every bin and find them. So instead, what we'll do, you just use the neck phones. You know, I'll just sit here. We're doing Dondoko Island. I don't need to hear the audio. It's not like this is critical story moments. It's literally not. Dondoko Island is a standalone minigame outside of the story of Like a Dragon.
So why do it in the first fucking place? Truly, it can't be for the fact of you trying to bring your wife on for money. No, it can't be that. No, it's the family stream together. It's family game night. Whatever Phil wants to say to delude himself into believing what he does is a family night.
Therefore, you can do it in any way. You can do it muted. It doesn't matter. You're missing nothing. Okay? So, she used the neck phones. And I basically didn't use them. Didn't use anything. I could still hear some audio anyway from the neck phones. Her sitting next to me. So it wasn't like a total loss or anything like that. Now, in the future, what are we going to have to do? Well,
what Judy could do is charge his phone before he starts to, I don't know, record videos. But, you know, shout out to Duty Streams for this video, by the way. But, Phil, what you could do is, oh, I don't know, not do this. Because it's clear as day nobody cares about this, quote-unquote, mini-game island that you like to say. Even you said it has no relevance to the game itself.
Once we finish Dondoko Island, which is about 10 to 15 hours long, we got to figure out a better audio solution. I was already thinking, we'll just get a cheap pair of headphones. You don't have to get anything expensive, right? Just something she can put on that's comfortable, that isn't noise isolation. And then she'll be able to hear me talk, and I'll use the neck phone, she'll use the headphones, and it shouldn't be a big deal.
That is just completely fucking stupid, though. Because if you're thinking about cheap headphones, then she's just going to go for the ones that cost a bit of money. Like, there's some headphones out there, that, sure, noise cancellation, but the way that you need to actually do it right is to adjust the audio levels. Make sure that it's turned down to a low level. That way, she can hear the game, and she can hear you. But again, you have no idea how any of this works, but yet you're just sitting there going, I know how to do my streams, you guys. I'm better than all those content creators out there that do streams.
Just that we didn't prepare for that. So right away, something silly hit us. So then, we go to start the stream, and we quickly realize the whole audio setup is different when you're doing one person on the mic versus two people with a mic between them.
And you figure this out. I mean, Phil, there's some mics that actually have audio adjustments where you can have it either go from one way. You can also do it to, I don't know, let's see. You can have it done this way. You can have it done this way. You can have it done this way. Again, you can change the audio with the flip of a dial. It's not hard to figure out, but again, Phil doesn't know anything about this, and he's been around the block for 15 plus years.
So I was sitting here, and she was sitting here, and immediately people were like, well, we could hear Phil fine, but we can't really hear Kat that well.
But then again, who really wants to hear Kat? The only thing that comes out of her mouth is, ha ha ha, you're right, honey. And it's just everything that Phil says.
I said, you know why? Because she's playing like this, right? She's so used to when she plays games, she's just staring at the TV. For me, when I play games, I'm literally turned towards you guys, like this.
No, you're not. You're usually facing the TV. Stop lying to us.
And I'm playing like this, so now you can hear my voice better. She's not used to that.
I could just pull up any fucking video that he has where he's trying to say, I actually look like this, and I actually am facing the mic. We can fucking pull up any fucking video out there that it just shows Phil not even doing what he's saying that he's doing. It's just so fucking unbelievable that Phil wants to delude himself into believing that's what I do, guys, because I'm a professional streamer.
What the hell? What am I supposed to do there? My sidestep still hits me. I'm still getting hit. I can't stop it. So she's talking in this direction, and the mic's only like side picking up her voice, so you can't hear it as well. In addition, the microphone here is a good placement for when I'm centered to the camera, but when we're both here, I need to turn it more towards her, because again, my voice, I'm used to talking and projecting my voice all day long.
Yeah, because you're the guy that never shuts the fuck up.
do this literally all day for a living. She does not. So we need to have the microphone more in her vicinity in order to pick up the voice.
Could you not, I don't know, pick up the mic, move it closer to her because apparently no one could hear her? Or are you afraid that if you put the mic near her, it's going to create an orbit and it's going to get lost in orbit?
I'll definitely say this, because there's two of us talking in a room on a lower volume because we're both talking into a mic from different directions. The game volume overpowers us. So even lowering the game volume twice, still there were times when I was listening back to the video and I was like, it's hard to hear us. So when we do this again on Saturday night, I got to lower the game volume significantly. And again, for Dondoko Island, this isn't that big of a deal.
Phil, you could have just done this way before you started streaming. I mean, it's not hard to figure out audio levels. Do some test recordings to figure out what works and what doesn't work. A lot of people do this if they want to stream. They want to figure out what adjustments are good, which ones are correct for them. But again, you proclaim to be an interactive streamer, that you've been doing this for 15 plus years, and yet you could not figure this out.
But we may have to try to figure something else out in the future. In regards to this situation, what it would be, I'm honestly not sure. I mean, my receiver unit here actually has a port for 2 different microphones. So maybe if we actually bought a whole second mic stand and everything, and had one here and one here, obviously then the audio is going to be way, way better.
What's the point of that, Phil? If she's barely going to be on your streams, it's going to be just a waste of fucking money. Again, you could just take your microphone and adjust the volume with the flip of a dial. Some mics have that, Phil. Do you not understand this?
But that's a significant, sinking of money. This mic was not cheap. This is an actual professional studio level microphone that I got 10 years ago. I don't know what they cost today.
In some cases, it'll either cost much cheaper or it'll be the same price. Usually they up the models and it'll cost a little bit more. But again, Phil, what you have is not really considered to be a professional mic. Hell, even the mic that I have, it's not really considered a professional mic due to the fact it's a USB mic, a HyperX Quadcast. It's usually considered to be for professional use, but the thing is with it though, you have to adjust the audio levels in order for it to work. Something that you clearly don't know how to do. And a real professional microphone, something that you would just expect is like an XLR. A good example of someone that actually uses a professional mic is Sly. King Sly T, or King Sly T. He actually has a professional mic, and he actually has a Rodecaster, something that he actually can adjust his audio levels. That is more of a professional mic than fucking Phil's. Shout out to King's Lady.
The thing is, it does use a standard studio mic connection. It's not USB. I forget what you call it. That unique connection they use for microphones for bands and stuff. That's what it uses, and that's what my receiver unit here, the Scarlett, uses that. So I'm sure we could probably get another mic. I would have to look into it. All right. I don't think for Dondoko Island, I don't think it's worth it. But in the future, if people really like our co-op and they want to see us actually do real game playthroughs, not just a side mini game, but go through a real game together, then it's probably going to be worth the investment.
You know what that means, guys. Pull out your Velcro wallets and give him money, because he's going to waste it all on WWE Champions and then cry whenever he needs money for that new microphone.
I think so. But we have to look into that, okay?
Gotta look into it. Cherry, glub, glub, glub. My count's gone.
XLR, is that what it's called? I don't know. People are saying XLR. I don't know what that means. Maybe that means the type of connection or the mic. I don't know. I'm not an audiophile.
Phil, do you even know what an audiophile is? For those that do know, congratulations. But for those that don't know, an audiophile, it has really big enthusiasm over the sound reproduction. But what you are, Phil, is just unprofessional and very inexperienced and very unintelligent when it comes to any of this.
Literally, this setup I bought 10 years ago because my viewers sent me the stats. They were like, here it is, buy this on Amazon, buy this on Amazon, buy this on Amazon, combine it, hook it up, it'll work. And
No, I don't think anyone sent you anything. You just looked it up on a whim and you thought, it's really expensive, but since it's that price, it should work.
I did, and it worked. I was like, oh, thanks. I don't even know what it is. Okay, so anyway, that was another thing. Now, one other thing that sadly I don't think is fixable. Basically, no matter what, our seating arrangement is not going to be equal, because this chair, my office chair, it's not really an office chair. This is meant to be like a luxury office/gaming chair.
It's considered to be a streamer chair, Phil. Just say what it really is.
It actually has full memory foam lumbar support. It actually has real comfy memory foam reclined seating, and it's so comfortable. It's the best chair I've ever had. And I've now had this, for almost 3 years. I want to say we got it in like 2021 or 2022.
So you say that you got it, even though you proclaimed that a fan donated that chair. Why say that you bought the chair, or we bought the chair?
So far, it's the best gaming chair I've ever had. It's so good, so different from the shitty ones that people try to sell you online with their referral codes. Those are junk. This one's actually well made. The catch is, this chair is very low to the ground and doesn't have height adjustment. That's the catch. That's probably why it only costs like $300 instead of like $500, because it didn't have that. It's a basic chair with really nice comfort features.
Nor it could be that it cost $300 because it was considered a quote-unquote luxury streamer chair, Phil. It has nothing to do with the height adjustment, or due to the fact that you probably had height adjustment to it, but when trying to put together that chair, you didn't know how to put in the fucking little lever for the height adjustment. You just toss it aside like, fuck it, it's at a good height anyway.
So the thing is, we can't find anything that's the same height as this chair. We looked at all these ottomans, stools, and other chairs, and we couldn't find anything this low to the ground.
Phil, ottomans are not really considered chairs. They're more like footrests. Do you know anything about ottomans at all? But again, delude yourself into believing you know everything.
So the best we did was the chair that I used. We bought this. It's a very small mini office chair that we found at like a discount store. And it's comfortable. Like, I sat on it the whole 2.5 hours on Wednesday night, and it actually was comfy. It didn't hurt my ass or anything. And
but yet you're proclaiming that the chair you're sitting on now has something for your back support, the lumbar support, and you always complain about your bad back. But yet you could sit in that chair with no problems with your back? So it just shows right then and there that you're making up this whole thing about your bad back.
it has back support, which is really nice. But even then, I was much higher up than this chair. And it doesn't seem like there's anything I can really do about that. And some people are like, well, why don't you buy another one of the chairs? Here we go again, right? The solution is just to spend tons of money.
Even though you already done so in the past. I mean, for God's sakes, you had spent money that you never really had. And yet all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, guys, I'm broke. Please tip me.
That I don't have. So number one, this chair, I don't even know if I can get it again. You know, I bought it 2-3 years ago. I don't even know if it's available on Amazon anymore. I haven't looked into it. That's number one.
I mean, you could always just look it up, Phil, or look up anything that's similar to it. It's not hard to do. Even Google can be your best friend here, but again, you want other people to do the research for you.
Number two, this chair is big, and there's no way we could fit 2 of them next to each other here in the office on camera. It wouldn't fit. It's actually that wide. I mean, just to show you, this is how wide the chair is.
Nice measurements, Phil. That's not even close to it. Like, what you're doing is just lifting up your arms and you're just holding it even wider. It's like, for fuck's sake, Phil. Don't you know anything about measurements?
This is my hands on the edges of the arms, and I'm just lifting my arms straight up.
Yeah, you're lifting them up, but you're pushing them a little bit further apart. That's not the true measurement, Phil. I mean, for God's sakes, get a tape measure. Measure from one side to the other one, and then boom, you could just say, oh, I don't know, because that looks like a grand total. It looks like maybe a yard and a half, maybe.
Now move that to the side. Where does it fit? It doesn't. It doesn't fit on. It would be the 2 of us hanging off camera, basically.
Well, with the way that you're measuring it, Phil, my fucking God, nobody could see it. But then again, Cat takes up the majority of it anyway.
It doesn't fit. It's too big. So the other thing is, well, why don't you just get another small chair and both of you sit in small chairs? We could do that.
We could do that, but then my wife would argue with me.
But that would entail moving this fucking giant chair every time we do co-op and then moving it back, which is going to be a huge hassle.
Hey, Phil, I'm going to ask this question. Don't you already have another office chair right next to your computer? Why don't you just take that one, you sit in that, and Cat can sit in the one that you're in? I mean, it's not that fucking hard. But no, I need a new chair. Please give me money investments.
See what I mean? Like, there's no real easy way to fix the situation. I think the seating, does it look silly? It does. Like, I'm high up here, she's down here. If we swap seats, it's going to be the same. She's going to be up here, and I'm going to be down here. So we're never going to be equal level.
You'll never be at equal level because every single time you'll come up with more excuses to why you can't get certain chairs. I mean, for God's sakes, the excuses are just unfucking-leavable at this point.
When we do this, I would actually say of all the issues, that was the least, right? I would think getting the audio issues resolved is actually a bigger thing than the height of us sitting on camera. I don't think the height is really that big of a deal.
But yet if Kat sat in the other chair, though, people are gonna make fun of it. I mean, it already happened.
The only other thing that we noticed, so this here, this is called a pop guard, for those who don't know.
Or you could just call it a pop filter. I mean, for God's sakes, that's what it is, Phil, a pop filter. But I love the fact that he has to be, like, very eloquent when it comes to it. It's like, this is called a pop guard. Do you see how circular it is?
Well, the purpose of this device is that when I'm talking into the mic, or anyone talks into a mic, it stops certain kinds of sounds. And yes, it actually even stops, like, spittle from hitting the mic. So if I'm talking like this and my spit is flying, it catches it. And also, you notice how you don't hear a giant on the mic?
No, Phil, we could still fucking hear it, though, but it's very fucking faint, though. Do you even know what a pop filter is really used for, Phil? It's when you get really up close to the mic and you go, puh. You could just do puh. And you could just keep going on with it. You have to be really close to the mic with it, though. But the way that you're doing it, you're far away from it going, puh, 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 puh. It's defeating the purpose, and you really don't need it. But, again, you do you, dumbass.
The pop guard is doing that. Without that, if you go at the mic, you go boom, boom, you hear these big booming voice or sound.
Thank you for explaining what a pop filter is.
So that's what it stopped. But it's huge, and I've had this one for ages. And the thing is, when it's just me, it's not a big deal. But when it's the both of us, and we're both kind of looking over, and we're trying to see, hey, what's going on over there in the chat, and what are people saying?
God damn, that sway trying to look at the chat, though. I mean, for God's sakes, Phil, what most people tend to do, they have someone look at the chat, and someone else is playing the game. It's not hard to do, but your wife wants to be, like, so invested with the chat, though, that she's doing exactly what you. It's like, oh, someone gave money? I better go investigate.
Right now, I cannot see the chat. Literally, from where I'm sitting right now, I can't see the chat. I have to do this.
No, you fucking don't. Again, we could pull up any fucking video that you've done where you're not even doing this. Instead, you're looking away from it. You're leaning into the fucking laptop to look at the chat. How much of the bullshit did you have to snort before you come on this stream? Because the lies are just unbelievable. You just can't stop lying.
And look over the pop guard, or go like this. This is how I see it. So someone actually sent us a suggestion during the day off saying, we noticed your pop guard's really big and in the way.
No one said this.
They sell better ones now for cheap. They're not expensive. And I got a link on Amazon to like a $10 pop guard. What it is, instead of being a giant circle, they now make them curved. And they sit right in front of the microphone, literally not blocking your field of view at all.
Or another thing that you could get, not just that, you can also buy little sleeves that go over the mic. Like, hold on, if y'all can hear it. This is what I have, and I know people are going to get really annoyed with the sounds that came from that, but you can just slide it onto the mic, and you have no problems with it. You can go, puh, as much as you fucking want. It catches the spittle, it catches everything with it. But again, though, Phil, you're saying that you needed this fucking pop guard, this little shield, like it's a sneeze guard, over the mic, where you just buy the sleeves that cost cheaper, and you just put it on. Nope, you gotta get the more expensive pop guard, because if it's expensive, it works. That is the Phil motto.
So whoa, well, that'll be a big improvement if it just sits in front of the mic. So I ordered it, and that's supposed to be coming later today. And if it shows up, I can use it as early as my late stream tonight. Set it up and see if that's a little better, so that way I can see you guys better, and you won't see this giant circle on camera anymore. Instead, it's just gonna be right in front of the mic. You'll see more of me.
Oh, good. We need to see more of you, though. But I'm not gonna lie, though, it'd actually help out with thumbnails, though. So thank you very much for that, fucko.
Which I know you want. You guys have told me so many times over the years, you absolutely need to see as much of me as possible. Even if I could minimize the game to like a tiny little corner down here and just have my face blown up on the rest of the screen, that's what you're looking for.
So essentially, you want to be like titty streamers on Twitch. So you're essentially making fun of them, but also saying that you want to do that. I know you're trying to make a joke with it, Phil, but before we move on to the transition with that...
Ultimately, what happened was, after getting all my errands done pretty quickly, all right, we looked into what we wanted to do for the day, and something happened. I never expected this. My wife says to me, so I want a game to play between now and the release of Dragon's Dogma 2. Dragon's Dogma 2, for those who don't know, comes out around middle of March. She's like, that's the next game I'm eyeballing. I'm really excited for it. I want to play it, but I don't want to jump. I don't want to, I just would need something else to kill time. Even if it's not that serious of a game or whatever, I just need something to play.
And we're back into the swing of things. When Phil talks about his day off, about mundane shit that nobody really cares about, but apparently Phil thinks that everything's so invested around him that people want to hear about his day off. You know, the quote-unquote best stories on YouTube, when in reality, they're just massive amount of copium.
I do all the errands, and I come home, and she goes, I've decided what I want to do. I want to try Skull and Bones. And I was like, what? Like,
oh, so your wife wants to try something different and you don't like it? Well, divorce her right now.
I was blown away. Like, she would want to try that because she knows all about the game.
Does she, though? Or does she only go by what you're telling her, by pig-nosing her into believing what Skull and Bones really is?
She knows it's been stuck in development hell for nearly a decade. She knows about the stories, of all the problems with this game and everything. And I was like, huh? And she's like, yeah, basically because, it has the ship combat of Assassin's Creed 4 and also other Assassin's Creed games in the future had that. And she loved the ship combat. And she says, maybe it'll have something fun about it. And I was like, well, that's up to you. But of course, she's doing it the smart way. Did she spend $70 on it? No. You'd have to be nuts to do that. She basically got Ubisoft Plus, which is the monthly subscription. It's $18 a month, and you get access to all of Ubisoft's games for the month,
And here we go. DSP tries it, shilling out Ubisoft Plus.
And by the way, if you do that, you get all the advanced access, and you get all the deluxe versions, okay? So, she decided to basically do that, and then get it off of Ubisoft Plus, so she was able to get Skull and Bones on her Xbox Series S, deluxe edition, like premium edition, which comes with extra missions and a few extra in-game things for doing it. And this was the advanced edition. I guess the game technically comes out today, but if you had gotten to special edition, it came out like a day early. So she was able to play it yesterday.
So she played the game early because of early access. Yeah, congratulations, Phil. This is very invigorating. This is just making me want to pull out my wallet and give you money. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't.
Okay, so let's talk about Skull and Bones. We played it for 2 hours.
I love this whole entire thing of it, though, because he wants to talk about them playing Skull and Bones, which could have been content that they could have done, but chose not to do it. Let's find out why.
And here was our experience, okay? When you first boot up Skull and Bones, you're essentially on a ship that immediately gets destroyed, and so you're with, like, this skeleton crew. It's like you and 2 other people on, like, a skiff, a tiny little boat that's just going around, and your job is essentially to survive. So you're, like, sailing around fighting sharks with, like, spears, and you basically have to gather a few resources, do, like, mini-missions, and then get to the first town, which is called St. Anne. All right. So at first it's kind of interesting because you're learning the controls. It's a little different than, when you're on the skiff, it's different than when you played Assassin's Creed. And the graphics, I'll be honest, they're not terrible, but they're also not good. Like, the water effects are hilarious. It looks like fuzz. It looks like fuzz is coming on your bows. Like, is that supposed to be water or...
Oh, Phil, you forget to realize this game just came out and they're going to have bugs that can fix the way it looks, but continue.
Are you like in the field of pollen in the middle of spring? Like, what is this? The effects are bizarre. I think they use their own graphics engine called Anvil. And honestly, it doesn't look that good. I was like, why did they go with that? They could have easily gone with something else. It was just weird to me. I was scratching my head like, why did they go with that?
Because that's up to the company that actually developed the game. They can do whatever the fuck they want with their own property. I mean, for God's sakes, Phil, this is Development 101. They could choose to do whatever they want with it, though. But, again, please continue.
So once you arrive at St. Anne, all the story begins.
This whole entire part can easily be skipped just due to the fact he's just going over how to play Skull and Bones and his time playing with his wife, and it's just very, very boring. It's more of a not funny, didn't laugh scenario, but brings up a point of don't play with randoms online, play with friends, or play with people that you know. I mean, for God's sakes, Will, you do it every single time that you play multiplayer games. So why is it that you're trying to give people advice about how to play multiplayer games?
Basically, here's the deal, all right? It's not that it's awful. It's just not a good game.
Well, that is very debatable on who you're asking. Some people could say that it's a really good time, but not good by yourself. Everyone's take on a certain game by their preference, it's varied depending on who you ask. But if we're asking Darkside Phil, he'll just tell you that this game is bad, but this game is good, but he'll provide you with no real explanation of why the game is good or bad.
You can tell this is a game that's not finished. You can tell this is a game that was likely rushed and released because they had to.
Even though you already said that this game has been delayed for almost a decade and they had to put it out there. Then again though, Phil, you said that you kept in touch with the story you know about Skull and Bones, but now you're saying that they rushed it. Good to know.
If you don't know the story of Skull and Bones, this game started development around the same time as Sea of Thieves. And you remember how many years ago Sea of Thieves released? They were announced the same E3. And everyone was like, what's the coincidence that Ubisoft and Microsoft are both making a pirate, like, online co-op survival game at the same time? It's weird, right?
Even though one of them was made by Rare, they're actually making a new game because nobody ever heard about Rareware in a long time. Yes, say Rareware 10 times fast. It's going to be very confusing. But at the same time, though, Ubisoft wanted to make a game that people really enjoyed the Assassin's Creed naval combat. So that was essentially what that was, though. But again, though, Phil, you fail to realize that it's been through multiple delays just because it kind of went through development hell. Do you know what development hell is, Phil? Not the hell that you're spewing out to your audience and that you're living in now, but it's something that actually happens on the cutting room floor when it comes to making a game.
But Sea of Thieves released, flopped, kept selling because it was on their on-demand service. I forget, it wasn't called Game Pass back then. It was something else.
It was still somewhat considered to be Game Pass, Phil. You could say that, but no, you just want to say, oh, it wasn't that.
And then it got a player base, and it got a community, and then a bunch of fucking trolling and a bunch of toxic shit got associated with that community. But today, it's a healthy game. It thrives. It has tie-ins with, like, Monkey Island and other things. Like, it's done well for itself.
You know another game that actually did the same thing, Phil, that actually grew and became better? No Man's Sky. That one game that you shat on because it wasn't that great, but that got better, and it got awards for best community support. I mean, for God's sakes, Phil, it's still ongoing, and Sea of Stars is still ongoing, but who you ask is dependent on who you want to ask of how it's good or why it's good. But they'll give you completely different answers. Again, everything is varied, depending on who you ask.
Over these years, this game still didn't come out. It's been 10 years, and Skull and Bones still didn't come out.
I was about to say, he was about to say either Sea of Stars or Sea of Thieves.
This game has been started over twice, I believe. It was developed by 10 or more different Ubisoft studios, all working different parts of it at remote locations, okay? And the real reason this game came out, for those who don't know, Ubisoft Singapore, yes, they have a Singaporean development branch, made a deal with the Singaporean government. They took a government grant to make this game. So they took government money and said, thank you for the money. We're going to use this to develop our game and make it better because it's going to be a product of Singapore. But then the game kept getting delayed and canceled, and Singapore got on their ass and was like, we gave you money. You can't just not release the game that we gave you money to develop. You have to release it, or else we're going to basically go to court with you and give you all these fines and penalties for violation of our agreement. Like, you can't just screw the government.
I love the fact that he just brings up the whole thing with Singapore, but what Phil fails to realize, though, is that that really wasn't the main reason why. Sure, they took a deal with the whole thing with the Singaporean government, but what you fail to realize with this, Phil, is that the reason why that one wasn't doing so good, though, it's because it didn't really have any stability, though. And a lot of people that worked on the game under that branch didn't really feel motivated to actually finish the game. And they had to sit there in a toxic work environment, living the whole thing about fear about either they're going to keep their jobs or not. And also, the salaries weren't that great. And I love the fact that Phil wants to sit there just going on and on about how, oh yeah, it was Singaporean government's fault, when in reality, who's to really blame for it? It's the studio itself. Nothing much more about to do with the government, unless Phil's trying to like give this whole thing about anarchy rise up.
And I really feel like they totally released this game in this condition because they were legally bound to. They didn't have a way out of it, or else they were going to get really into big trouble. So,
do you have any sources to back this up, Phil? Or are you just talking out of your ass again, saying that it's the government's fault? Then again, you want to bring up the fact that the reason why your life sucks is you want to bring up the government for some odd reason.
You play the game and you're like, it totally feels like it's not finished. Like, they rushed it. Yeah, and by the way, remember I was saying, oh, the quick time events to harvest, resources? And I was saying it seems similar to something. Yeah, you want to know what it seems similar like? a mobile game.
Oh my god, Phil. You don't mention the whole thing about mobile games because you were under a lot of controversy because of one mobile game called WWE Champions.
This whole game, Skull and Bones, feels like you're playing a mobile game the entire time. And I was thinking to myself, this is a mobile game.
I should know. I specialize in one called WWE Champions.
Everything about it could be played on a phone. There's literally nothing with complex controls. It all could be done touchscreen phone. And I was like, I bet that's what it is. How much do you want to bet this was a mobile game or was being developed as a mobile game? And then at some point they said, let's just make this the real game.
I love the whole entire thing about this, though, is that he claims that he knows the story about Skull and Bones, about its development hell, but yet now he's throwing in the fact that it's a mobile game. Don't bring up mobile games, because people are immediately going to talk about WWE Champions. Like, god damn it, Phil, you are fucking it. And even his own chat was like, mobile games?
And then that's it. This is the game. Oh my god.
Oh my god, mobile games, glub, glub, glub. Oh my god, Scopely juice. Oh, Hogan pulls, yum.
But by far of all the time, I wish we had a camera rolling when the game froze for 15 seconds, unfroze, and our boat turboed into the shore like it was rocket powered and just exploded. I wish I had that on camera for you guys.
Yeah, you could have done so, like make a special little co-op stream with you and your wife playing Skull and Bones, but no, play it on your day off, and you want to talk about the whole thing about how, oh, we didn't like this game. Like, Phil, that had potential of being a series on your channel, but you pissed it away.
That was the most fucking hilarious moment I've seen in ages in any game. We were both laughing hilariously at how bad the fucking game is.
God damn. His fucking eye is twitching like crazy, and he wanted to say butt fucking, but he was afraid, oh no, the CEO of YouTube would hear me say butt fuck.
So, now here's the thing. I've heard a few people saying, oh, it's not that bad. Here's the deal. It's time to stop giving games a pass.
Who said about it getting a pass, though, Phil? They just gave an opinion about how it's not bad for them. Again, who you are asking, you're going to get varied results.
Because you're playing it with friends and you like it with your friends. Alright? It really is. It's time to stop with this nonsense. Because here's the deal. I'm going to name a few games for you guys, okay?
Okay, so he's saying the whole thing about you enjoy games with your friends. You need to stop playing with your friends, though, because it's not the quality of the game based around how you spent it with your friends. You need to stop that right now.
Destiny 1 and 2.
1, not the greatest game, but 2, actually kept on going, and it still had expansions, Phil, and people still play it, even when it went on to their free-to-play model.
The Tom Clancy co-op games, which I've forgotten what the name of it. Not Ghost Recon. What are the ones where there's 2 of them, and you team up with a team of people, and you're co-op online, looter-shooter shit? I can't remember what it's called anymore, but there were 2 of them. You guys are going to remember those, right? This whole industry, there's like, maybe I can name The Division, thank you. The Division 1 and 2 and all of its expansions.
Well, here's the thing with The Division, though, Phil. The Division 1 had a good premise, but not very good execution. 2 improved on it a little bit more, but I love how even someone in his chat said Wildlands, which was Ghost Recon. That was a game that you could play with friends. It was co-op, but you could play single player if you wanted to. Again, those games are good with friends. They are good experiences when you're playing with someone else, though. But again, though, who you are asking, you're going to get varied results. And I know I'm sounding like a broken record when it comes to varied results, but you're going to get varied results.
And I'm sure you guys, now that I brought up Destiny and The Division, you guys can think of 10 more that are the same exact genre of game. Not saying they're the same gameplay, but it's you team up with your friends, you go online, you endlessly grind to do co-op, and it's a fun experience.
Well, then again, though, Phil, not a whole lot of games out there rely on cooperative shit, though, but you can play with your friends, though. Look at all the Call of Duties that came out that you play by yourself. If you have a party of people, you can play 6v6 with somebody against 6 other people, and you can have a great old time with it. It's the same thing with any other game out there. You could say the same thing about Diablo, Baldur's Gate. You could say all these games that revolve around either co-op or just multiplayer in general, that you could do this. But again, the reason why you're bringing all this up, though, Phil, is because you have no friends to actually do that. Sure, you have your wife, but you barely want to bring her on. And the one time you want to bring her on for co-op was for Like a Dragon Infinite Welt's minigame island.
Fair enough. There's a place for those games, and there's definitely a genre. It's a genre to itself, and it's popular. It makes money. But at one point, when are we going to actually sit down and look at these games together and say, but are these games actually good?
Depending on who you ask.
Or are they only entertaining because you're having a social experience with your friends as you experience them?
Phil, again, depending on who you ask, there are people out there that will play games with their friends and they can have a good time with it, depending on who you ask, though. I mean, look at games like Lethal Company, where you have to work with each other to actually get enough money to say, hey, you're not gonna die. I mean, it's a good experience, and it's good to fun multiplayer experience. But again, though, Phil, you have no friends to actually play these games with, and you're just getting a little bit annoyed.
I challenge you to tell me the story of The Division 1 or 2 is good. Like, wow, I'm so happy I played The Division because that was one of the best stories I've ever seen in game.
No one really cares when it comes to its story, though, Phil. If they're having fun with a multiplayer experience, story doesn't really matter when it comes to multiplayer games. But now you're trying to bring up the whole thing about, do y'all remember the story? Y'all can tell me, or else I'll just prove y'all wrong.
Or even that the gameplay loop is that good. Or did you enjoy The Division 1 and 2 because you played it with a bunch of friends? And you teamed up and you had camaraderie and it was fun. You were joking with each other when you played it, right? And again, that's okay, but there's a problem with that. You got these inferior games. They don't play well. And a lot of these games launch awful and then over a year or two get improved because now the game's out there, people bought it. So now you've got post-release support that makes these games better or maybe even eventually what they were intended to be at launch, but they rushed the game out, right? But we have to stop as consumers accepting that games come out unfinished. Skull and Bones is not even a half-finished game. All you have to do is play it for 20 minutes and you're going to realize that. You're like, what is this shit? Like, there's no story. There's no actual gameplay in any town besides the starter town. You can't fight hand-to-hand. You can't board enemy ships besides a meter. You can't harvest things besides a quick time event. Like, where's the gameplay? The gameplay loop is like playing a mobile game on your phone. So why did you buy a console game? It doesn't make sense.
I just love the whole entire thing where he's just going on and on and on about how it's okay to do that, but he's just shitting on Skull and Bones, though. Granted, who are you asking? I personally don't care for Skull and Bones. It's just not my kind of game, though. But I can just tell you that flat out. But the way that Phil is just describing all of this shit, and he's just going right back to the whole thing about it being like a mobile game, is like, Phil, just quit bringing up mobile games because it's WWE Champions time.
The problem is if we accept games like this and we say, oh, it's fun to play with friends, fine, but is it a good game? I don't care if you had fun fucking around with your friends. Because the truth is, right now, you go to the movie theater and you can see the worst movie you've ever seen, but you're joking with your friends and it's a great time. Does that mean the movie's good and people should go watch it? No.
Phil, the whole thing with it, though, is that they're having an experience with their friends. They're joking of how bad the movie is. There are some people that will actually go to a bad movie and just watch it to review it. There are some people out there that are actual critics that will actually go to a movie, watch it, and give you your thoughts about it and tell you if the movie's good or not. There are people that do that, Phil. But no, you're just going to say that people are just going to go watch movies by themselves because, oh, it's a bad movie. They shouldn't do that, even though reviewers, they exist.
It means you made fun of it so bad that it was a good time. That doesn't mean the movie was good. So it's the same thing with games. Just because you made fun of the game and you fucked around and had a social experience with your friends doesn't mean the game was good. It just means you found a way to make the best of the situation, right? So you have to stop this shit. Because if we keep rewarding games like this, oh, well, it was fun because I played it with my friends. I don't care. I don't care what you did with your friends. Was the game good? Compare it to other games that are out for the same price point of $70. They are charging $70 for Skull and Bones. This isn't even a $20 game at this point. I wouldn't pay $20. Kat paid $18 for Ubisoft Plus, played it for 2 hours. She says, I got ripped off. I got completely ripped off. This is not a game. I agree. After doing it for 2 hours, that was a joke. That wasn't even close to a full game experience. No one should pay for that at all.
I just love this whole entire thing where you just sit there just saying that it was $70 that Kat Phil ripped off, even though she paid $18 for Ubisoft. Like, Phil, she didn't spend that much money, and she can do whatever she wants with it, though, Phil. There are other things out there that she can actually play, but no.
Yeah, now we're supposed to forgive this? Oh, $70. Oh, it's fine because I played it with my friends and we had a good time. Fuck you and your friends.
I love this whole entire rant that he had about the friends part. He said it was okay to do so if you wanted to, but now he's just flat out saying, no, fuck you and your friends. And no one brought the whole talk about playing with friends. No one brought it up in his chat at all. Just Phil bringing it up just for the fact of bringing it up to spark something, which in this case gave us the whole thing about fuck you and your friends. Huh. This is why you have no friends, Phil.
I don't care about what you did. You could also go play basketball with your friends and have a good time. That has nothing to do with the quality of the game.
Oh, I'm sorry, Phil. If they play basketball, they're just having a social experience.
The game's terrible. So why are you saying that it's a passable experience when it's not, right?
They didn't even say anything about it being a passable experience. They could just say, hey, we had fun with it. That's all. How people can do to have fun is completely up to them. Even the imaginary ones that you're just thinking of.
I hate people who want to rationalize and justify shit like that. Sorry, my experience with Destiny, it never was good. It's not terrible, but it's nowhere near as good as a Halo experience. It's nowhere near as good as any real MMO. It's just a shooter that got tons of budget to advertise.
Phil, you never really played an MMO besides World of Warcraft. I mean, for God's sakes, live service games exist for this reason alone, Phil. And the only reason why you didn't like Destiny was because you just thought the game wasn't meant for you. And you even made points about how it was bad over and over and over, but didn't provide any justifiable reasons for why it was bad.
So they always said it was the best one, and it wasn't. It's boring as dirt. It's a fucking boring-ass gameplay loop, and it never deserved an iota of the attention or popularity it got. People just fell in line to, oh, this is the good co-op game. I must play it. I must play it. It's just not that good.
You want to know why it was a good co-op game, Phil? Because they had friends to actually play it with.
The Division is a joke. I played it, if you remember, I played it as when it was free for like a week after E3 or something like that. I was like, I don't get it. Like, I mean, okay, you play with friends, but it's just, there's nothing special to this. There's nothing unique.
Again, Phil, you played it by yourself. You didn't play it with friends. You didn't have anyone to enjoy it with. You didn't have anyone to mock the game with. Instead, you're just playing by yourself, alone, with no one to play with. So that is entirely on you.
Fallout 76. Do you remember that debacle? How bad it released? And then I actually played it during E3 week the year after, when it was free. And the game, I have a teammate who can't get off his knees. He's sliding around on the game endlessly on his knees like this. Whee! Like he's on treads. Like he's on a tank. Woohoo! And he's like, dude, this game's been out for like 4 or 5 months. Why is the game still so glitched? You scoot around on your knees. Like, what the fuck is this junk?
Phil, that's what we like to lovingly call Bethesda bugs. They exist in Bethesda games.
Oh, but it's a good game because you play it with your friends. No, it's not. It's junk. Stop buying and rewarding junk. If you keep buying and rewarding people with awful games like this, the whole industry will be this games as a service trash. Everything will be a click, a fucking mini game, tap the buttons, bullshit. All the games you buy will be trash.
Hey Phil, the game that you play that's tapping the buttons, you enjoy quite regularly, and you ask people to give you money for that on a daily basis, except for your days off. But at the same time with it though, how people can enjoy games, it's entirely up to the consumer themselves. It is not up to you to sit there and just rile people up and be like, we need to boycott these games because they're trash. Even though, again, different people, different results.
You have to stop. I don't care that co-op is fun. Demand better. Demand that the co-op game is better. Not that, oh, we had fun because we fucked around in it. Yeah, you could also fuck around in real life or in any other game and have a better experience. I don't want to hear it.
Again, Phil, it depends on who's playing what game and what their experiences are. It is going to be completely different. But again, how many times do I have to tell you this over and over and over again, that it's a different experience for a different person? It's all based around them, not you.
Stop spending money on this trash. Stop rewarding idiots. Yves Guillemot, right now, actually thinks he has a quad A game. Fuck him. And fuck his company and make him suffer. Don't buy this piece of shit.
Okay, Phil, if you're going to say fuck him and fuck the company, don't buy any game that was made by Ubisoft. Doesn't matter which developer made it, don't buy any more Ubisoft games. Then you could start saying that you're doing the Ubi boycott.
And then actually, he won't be rewarded for idiocy. But the problem is you keep rewarding the idiocy by buying these terrible games. Do not buy Skull and Bones under any circumstances. Do not buy it. Do not play it. Do not watch someone play it. Do not get Ubisoft Plus. Do not even click on a picture of it. Do not even look at the art online. Don't watch a video of it. Don't do nothing. Stop wasting time on this shit. Because if it actually doesn't exist, it won't recoup its cost, and then they'll fucking stop with this bullshit, and they'll make good games again. but we have to stop entertaining garbage.
So Phil's going to go on saying that don't spend your money on Skull and Bones, don't even spend money on the Ubisoft Plus, and don't watch anyone play it. Phil, you're going on and on about how you were ripped off $20 to get Ubisoft Plus, but yet what you fail to realize here is that a lot of other games are out there that are on Ubisoft Plus that people can enjoy. Not even just Skull and Bones. Like, looking at all these games, you can play Prince of Persia Lost Crown, the Avatar game, Rainbow Six Siege, and there's many other games, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Far Cry 6, more Assassin's Creed games, more Rainbow Six games, even Scott Pilgrim. All these games right here are available on Ubisoft Plus, and if you don't want to spend your money on Skull and Bones, or you don't want to just get Ubisoft Plus to try out Skull and Bones, there are many other games that this service can offer. But what Phil doesn't seem to realize, though, is that that's just one game out of multiple games that you can play with Ubisoft Plus. But again, Phil just being a dumbass like he always tends to do.
Phil Spencer comes out on this Xbox podcast yesterday and 1,000,000% confirms everything that I fucking said to a T. In fact, he went even further, because if you remember, what I said was, at worst, I bet what's going to happen is that Microsoft's going to say they're going to take some of their exclusive games that have been exclusive for a while, and they're going to start porting them to, say, PlayStation, maybe in 6 months, right? Like, take a game like Hi-Fi Rush. It'll come out for Xbox first, you'll have the exclusivity window, and then they're going to port it to PlayStation, right?
Even though they never really confirmed what these games were going to be, though, Phil. But a lot of people made speculations of what these games were going to be, though. But yet, you want to say that, oh, it's exactly what I said to a T. Delude himself to believing that he was right and everyone else was wrong.
No, it wasn't even that bad. All Phil Spencer said was 2 things. Number one, we are not giving up on hardware. Whoever made up that rumor is an idiot. In fact, our next gen of consoles, we're going to try to actually push the limits of technology. The next Xbox will be the most powerful, console available. That's what we're aiming for.
Love the whole entire thing about this, how he said that, oh yeah, people are idiots for saying that, even though he never said that, though. Did he even watch the whole conference, or he's just going by what he saw on an article, and he's like saying, oh yeah, Phil Spencer said that he's an idiot, just like I would say.
And number 2, yes, we're going to take 4 games that are Xbox exclusives now, and we are going to release them as third-party games. If they do well, we may look to make more games third-party in the future, but this is like a test case. He didn't even say what the games were, but he did confirm it will not be Starfield, and it will not be the upcoming new Indiana Jones game. Okay?
Well, it won't be those games, Phil, because it's Bethesda, and Bethesda actually owns those games. They own the properties for those games, though. But again, you want to just sit there just going on and on and on about all of this. You're like, hey, I'm just going to confirm all these rumors because, I'm right, you're wrong.
So, the speculation,
and again, this is all speculation,
is that the actual 4 games... Oh, did I not write it down? Oh, shit. I didn't write it down. One of them is definitely Hi-Fi Rush. And oh, here it is. Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Sea of Thieves, and Grounded are the supposed speculated 4 games that they're going to make cross-platform and be on PlayStation.
Thank you for actually saying all these games, Phil, when people already knew about these from the get-go, because it was basically spread around like wildfire about all these games coming out for other consoles. I mean, for God's sakes, Hi-Fi Rush was one of those games that was like even stated that it might come to PlayStation and Switch, and people had a lot of these images to back it up. But again, though, Phil, you completely ignored all of that just to try to bring it up to now, to try and make this point that you were right and everyone else was wrong. But it's so fucking bad. Let's just stop.
Okay? Do any of those games sound like they're going to have any huge impact in the gaming landscape because they're on PlayStation?
No.
Well, then again, though, Phil, it'll actually give it more money. It'll give it more sales because it's on another platform. I mean, look at PlayStation when they put most of their games onto PC. As soon as you had Days Gone, God of War, the Spider-Man games, and the Horizon games on PC, excluding the sequel, a lot of those games on there did a little bit better because of a few things with it. One of them, performance, because they could actually tweak it, and also modding. I mean, a lot of things came from it that were actually good when they ported it over to PC. But again, though, Phil, you want to look at it saying, oh, it's not going to do anything. No, even though it'll just increase its sales a bit.
Not at all.
It'll be cool if they're cross-platform, even if they have cross-platform play, because those games, like, for example, Sea of Thieves and Grounded are co-op games. So imagine being able to play with people on a wider player base. That's actually kind of a good thing, a beneficial thing for those games' life cycles.
Even though you'll never play those type of games anytime soon.
Right? So what's the deal if these are going to be cross-platform? None at all. Zero. And again, Phil Spencer confirms we are.
Before he goes on what Phil Spencer confirms with it, though, he says that it does nothing with it, though, even though it will expand its player base. Does he not understand that that's a good thing? But he's like, no, there's nothing good from it.
Not giving up on the console game, on the console, thing. We want to make a new console that's the most powerful ever. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember all those rumors? Remember all that speculation? Remember all those places that were actually saying the sky is falling, Microsoft is done, they're going full third party like Sega, and the Xbox logo was on fire, and there were big nuclear mushroom cloud explosions.
Yeah, we saw that on Twitter, Phil, but I love how he's like, oh, everywhere was saying this, but it was mostly Twitter.
And people were doing entire weeks of podcasts and shows speculating about the end of Microsoft as a game developer. Remember all that? Yeah, all those people lied to you and were doing it just for money.
Phil, they weren't really lying about it, though. They were just talking about what would happen with it, though, and they were giving speculations. It was all rumor, Phil. How is it that they made money by lying to people? I mean, isn't that what you do on an everyday basis?
Every single person who did that was a scumbag.
Just like you.
Every fucking one on the internet. They all lied to you. They made up stuff. They rumor mongered to have clickbait content so you would give them time and money. So I want you to think about those people now, because I know a lot of you probably watch their content. I want you to think about, is that the kind of person who you should continue to go back and watch their content? Do you think that?
No, most people will just go back and watch the content anyway. Or if they actually see this content, though, they'll just go to other people's content making fun of these people. Something you clearly think that you're doing right now, though, but it's just not working.
Do you think you should do that? Waste your time on someone who lies to you constantly, so you will go there and watch their content and give them money?
I'm sorry? That whole entire thing of what he just said, that could be pointed right back at Phil, because he constantly lies to his audience. He constantly lies and tries to make clickbait view titles, and he wants people to give him money. Like, Phil, that's you, bro. Just, oh, god damn it, man. I didn't expect to laugh like that.
Because none of them had anything to say of any intelligence. They literally just blew smoke up your ass for a week with zero evidence or facts.
The same thing can be said about this quote-unquote exploit that YouTube won't fix. The Argentinian memberships. This is what you did. But you did it more than a week. You did it for multiple weeks. Oh my god, man. How can I point this back to you always? Stop.
What did I say? I said, it's all rumors. No one has any factual basis to say any of this.
Phil, the whole thing about with Xbox was rumors. It was all rumors. And you just took what they said on Twitter about it being rumors, and you're like, it's all rumors. You just regurgitated what Twitter was saying. Just shut up.
There's zero evidence that Microsoft is getting out of the console game. No one said that. No facts. Why are people reporting it like fact?
No, Phil, they're reporting it like it's speculation. They're reporting it as a point of discussion. Do you not understand anything about discussion? Oh no, you seem to think that talking over somebody is a discussion.
What is wrong with people? This is it. This is modern online content creation. Lie to get the attention of the viewer.
Something that you do, clearly.
The viewer trusts the person.
Something that your audience tends to do because they're very gullible, except for the detractors.
And now everyone's freaking out. Oh my god, drama, drama, drama. Clickbait, clickbait, money, money, money.
Phil, that's exactly what you're doing. You create mass hysteria because you're losing money. The sky is falling. DSP Enterprises is losing stock. Oh god, please give me money, chat. My stockholders help me. And they toss money at you like the gullible fucking idiots that they are. God damn it. Why? It's always going to be pointed right back at you, Phil.
And then a week later, Phil Spencer has to actually come out and say, it's all bullshit.
But yeah, you come out and say it's all bullshit, but everybody already knows the truth about you, Phil. But then again, though, Philly boy, you don't know anything about this. You didn't even watch the conference. You just looked at an article.
I don't know where they got that from, but you know, don't listen to nonsense. Gee, thanks, Phil. Like, literally, the podcast didn't need to happen. There was no reason. There was no new information given. It's just a waste of everyone's time.
Phil, it wasn't really much of a podcast. It was just a video that they were saying, hey, it's going to be a live event. Well, it was just a fucking upload. So that, A, was somewhat of misinformation about it, but also they're just telling things like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is the future of Xbox. So what Phil Spencer did with that, though, it's entirely up to him, though. And it was a good little presentation that he gave. But, yeah, I love the fact that he's like, oh, yeah, Phil said it was all bullshit. And now he's like, thanks, Phil. Thank you for bringing that podcast out. Even though that was more of a podcast than what, I don't know, what you have.
Just like the entire week of rumor mongering. You have to stop with it. People have to stop wanting the worst and reveling in failure.
Phil, that's what you want. You want people to revel in failure. And yet, for some reason, when people point out your failures, you're like, oh my god, these people are making videos about me because they have to. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. It's all pointing back to Phil. It's a vicious circle.
Fucking stop it.
Phil, you fucking stop. Stop.
Want to know what people should be reveling in? Success. For example,
just like how you're saying that, oh hey, my banking model is a success when it's just a failure.
Another news story this morning. Tekken 8 has sold 2 million copies in the only 2.5 weeks since it launched.
Yeah, it did a lot better than fucking Street Fighter 6, and yet for some reason, you're not sitting there going, man, Street Fighter 6 is better. Yeah. And yet you want to bring up the fact that Mortal Kombat 1 did really well, and you want to shit on it for no fucking reason.
Bandai Namco, says sales are better than they even expected. Tekken 8 is selling way faster than Tekken 7.
Well, yeah, it was one of the most highly anticipated fighting games, other than, I don't know, Mortal Kombat 1, Street Fighter 6.
Tekken 7 took 2 months to sell its full 2 million units, not 2 weeks. And this is pretty insane. So, fighting games are on the up and up. Street Fighter 6 sold well, Mortal Kombat 1 sold well.
And now you're saying that, oh, Mortal Kombat 1 sold well, but didn't you say that Ed Boon was a fucking idiot at NetherRealms, or NetherRealms were a bunch of fucking idiots, and now you're praising him now for Mortal Kombat 1 doing so well? Pick a lane, Phil.
Tekken so well. That's what we should be reveling in. Success. Positivity.
Even though people do revel in success and positivity, but the problem is, though, is that you want to revel in failure, but you want to call it success every single time, and you want to point out anybody that wants to call what you're having failure when it's really failure. Every single time. It's like, Phil, you need to practice what you preach.
Not fabricated failure.
Which is something that you're bringing up detractors for. I know, granted, that's not what he's implying, but it's heavily implied here.
So if you'll click on someone's show, podcast, article, and give them money. Stop falling for the drama.
Phil, you know what really attracts people to their article or to their videos? The title. If they have a title that is very eye-catching, then they are going to read the article and watch the video. And once they watch the video, they're like, huh, it's a lot different than what the title actually said.
We need to shut the drama off on the internet and actually focus on positive, good things. Because that's what's important in life, not this trash. Okay? So, yeah, it really drives me nuts that so many people last week were freaking out. Here on my show, oh, Phil, you see, you're going to eat your words, Phil. You just wait till it comes out that this is all true and Xbox is now third party. I was like, you're all wrong.
Phil, nobody said this at all, but yet you want to believe that these imaginary people exist.
You're out of your minds. Why are you rumor mongering? That's all it is. It's all it's ever been. This shit happens at least 5 times a year. How many times a year do you hear about the new Switches coming out? You know, or the new Nintendo Direct's right around the corner and they're going to announce something huge or this. It's all bullshit.
Again, Phil, the whole thing with it, though, with the Nintendo Direct, that has become a meme at this point, where it's like Nintendo has a new Direct and it's a meme. Do you not understand what memes are?
Always is. It's never right. Never is it right.
It's never right, though, Phil, because either A, it's a meme, or B, it's a rumor. But yet you're looking at rumor like it's fact.
But everyone still fucking believes it. All right?
Only if they're really gullible enough. Now just take a sip of your water and just shut the fuck up. God damn.
Anyway. Start off today with a tip here that came in actually overnight. It's a $5 tip from Rocky. He said, I sent a super chat last night, but apparently it didn't go through, and that's why you didn't see it. I got a free membership a couple weeks back, so here's a $5 because I got a free one from the trolls. I know money could be tight right now, and I want to pay it forward, so have a good day. Well, thank you, Rocky.
Yep, someone has fallen under the pignosis about the whole troll memberships agenda.
Because of what they did with the whole VPN situation with these memberships to give them away for free, essentially. Yeah, things just suck right now.
Phil, what you're doing right now is just jingling the keys of the Fuck with Phil Emporium, and you're just giving away the copies even more. Phil, you know how to stop this? Just stop talking about it. But you still want to keep bringing this up more and more and more. It kind of looks like this agenda, this whole thing about how you're wanting these memberships just because you want to add on to your member total. That way you could add on more emotes and be like, well, guys, you look at the gift horse right here. It's like, oh my God, new emotes. That's all that you really care about with this, though. But yet you still want to bring up the whole thing about the trolls are ruining my business. When?
What can I do besides just move forward positively, right? So thank you, Rocky. I appreciate that. And again, I would urge anyone, if you were given a free membership by a troll who didn't pay for it, if you could come support the channel in another way, that would be amazing.
Love the fact that he's essentially just telling y'all, hey, just give me money. If you got a membership from these people, just give me the money. Pay for the membership another way. Like, Phil, come the fuck on. Just say, hey, just be glad you got the memberships. Let's just move on. But no, your greed is showing, and it's looking mighty huge right now. Something you cannot comprehend or compensate for your tiny edict that you have.
Whether it's a simple super chat, a small tip, something like this will help a lot, okay?
Yeah, that itch though, like he's itching for money badly at this point. He's like, I didn't make enough money with the whole exploring my wife. I mean, bring my wife on for that. I could check it if it nothing's working. Please give me money.
I received, obviously so far, I appreciate that. 1 minute, man.
Oh God, this is the 1 minute man tip. Yeah, thank you so much, dude, for cutting that out because everybody knows it's 1 minute man.
All right, guess what? Somehow I got through all my topics. I got through the news, the Phil's Day Off, the Skull and Bones, the schedule. We got through everything.
And you want a cookie for that or something?
All I will say is this: thank you all. Please support the streams. This is a brand new week. You know, starting fresh. We got exciting stuff coming up this week. Double co-op with my wife.
And nobody really asked for this, Phil. Stop promoting it.
Act 3 of Baldur's Gate 3, some new to fresh Tekken.
It took you a long time just to get to Act 3 of Baldur's Gate 3. Wow, you take way too goddamn long. Also, Tekken 8, pass.
Reaping the rewards of Dondoko Island when I do play. Like,
yeah, when you do play, aka your wife taking over the controls and you're just talking.
A dragon. Like, this is an exciting week of content. I hope that you will support it in some way. Again, much like Rocky.
Oh my God, his leg is just shaking up and down with this one, but he wants to bring up Rocky!
If people could follow suit, if you received one of those gifted memberships that basically I got robbed of, I didn't get paid for that.
Oh my God, Phil, just shut the fuck up about you being robbed. It's just like how you were robbed of your grocery bags and how you were robbed of your tire. It's all fucking bullshit. Please fucking stop.
I would appreciate if you could support in another way, even as simple as just like a super chat or something. Anything would help right now. Because right now I'm way down and it doesn't look like it's bouncing back at this point. I don't think it will until we get another big release. Like if a giant release comes out and everyone's excited to see me play it, people will probably come out to support streams more.
Yeah, it will only happen on the first stream though, where you make a decent amount of money with that and then all of a sudden it just dwindles into nothing because nobody wants to see you play this game anymore because they got their fill of it. They got really tired of how you play it. And they just move the fuck on.
But for now, it's kind of like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. What can I do?
Well, Phil, you know who put themselves between that? You did. Not the trolls that you want to say that robbed you. No. That was all entirely on you, Phil. You took your legs, you walked right in between that, and oh my God, a wrecking ball.
Right? So if you can support the streams, please do. You know the ways to. They all help. Thank you in advance. Okay.
Yeah, thank you in advance. Please give me money. He just looks very pitiful right now. He's like, guys, I need that money. I really, really do. I need that money.
Do I believe in karma? You know, I don't know, Red. That's an interesting question. Because, you know what they say, what goes around comes around.
Yeah, and what came around, you were very successful, and now you're a nobody. Yep, karma, bitch.
So you would think that, like, someone in life who's horrible to others, that eventually things would come back to bite them.
Like you. Every single time.
But that's not always the case. There's been people who are absolutely horrible people on this planet, and then they just get away with it for their whole lives.
How do you know any of this, Phil? And the way that you just make this smug expression, that's you. You're the guy that's done horrible fucking shit, but yet you're still around. That nothing really bad affected you. Yeah, you lost your Twitch partnership. You lost Stream Elements and Streamlabs. But all of this right here, though, you're just trying to prove a point by saying that I'm still around you guys, and all these people that were making fun of me, they're not around anymore, and they're suffering. And the people that had to make documentaries about me just had to make videos to make money. Even though what you're doing is just hold up a cup and just be like, hey, where's my money?
And, you know, I hate to say it, there's people like that. They look at situations like that. Here's a guy who was a scumbag to everyone their whole life. He's ahead in life. He's filthy rich, right?
Well, this could be a jab towards Keemstar, but at this point, it's very debatable. Who is he talking about? Who knows? Because he doesn't want to name names.
Basically immune to any kind of repercussions his whole life. So then how could you argue that there's like a god or an entity out there that cares about humanity?
Hey, Phil, I thought you were Catholic and that you were raised Catholic, that you believe that there's a God, a heaven, and a hell. I mean, for God's sakes, Phil, now you bring up this whole thing about atheism into play. The atheist cult, they don't want your ass.
If this is the case. And this is a whole philosophical discussion that people have.
Oh, God, Phil, stop. Don't talk about philosophy here because you failed at it.
Right? I would like to think that, yes, hopefully in life at some point there is karma. That people who are doing awful things to others are going to be eventually have it come back to them, and people who are actually doing good things or suffering as a result of the bad actions of others have good things come to them.
Phil, if you're trying to make this into a sense that you're hoping good things to happen to you, they're not going to happen to you because of the shit that you've done towards your audience and towards other people. But yet you want to sit there pointing the fingers at the detractors saying that, oh yeah, they need to suffer. They need to be Thanos snapped out of existence. And that if they drop dead, nobody would care about them and that life will go on for you. That's all that you care about with this. But you want to sit there and talk about karma when you've already experienced karma, but yet you want to deflect the blame of why you received the karma onto other people. You do this quite often.
I would hope that's the case in life. I just don't know if there's really any concrete evidence being able to prove something like that. It sounds more like superstition to me, right?
Even though someone asked you this question and now you're saying, oh, it's based around superstition, but if my detractors dropped dead to the face of the earth.
Okay. A couple more tips came in. I received a $5 tip from Kirk Reborn.
Oh, fuck off, Canadian Kirk.
Sit on an authentic The Next Generation captain's chair. It's great. I give commands out without back pain. Make it so and get one today.
Hack. I see you evaded bans yet again, Canadian Kirk. I'm so proud of you. Fuck off.
I'm going to point something out, and I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but here's concrete evidence of everything that I've been saying, okay?
Oh, great. Now he's going to bring up the fact that he has concrete evidence of everything he says when it's all just bullshit.
Ever since these fake memberships happened.
Oh my fucking God, Phil. Stop bringing up the whole thing about memberships. You want people to fuck with you even more.
Basically, during a day, even these Baldur's Gate 3 streams where I get good support, you notice it's all tips, right?
And you got $112 worth of tips, which that's the reason why you're playing Baldur's Gate 3 and nothing else for the day streams?
Like, when I was streaming for months and months, I would always get a combination of either memberships or re-upping of memberships during the course of a day, plus super chats mixed in with tips. Now, if you haven't noticed, there's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, take a look. And this is not me complaining to you guys. You guys were awesome. A lot of people tipped today. 0 memberships today. 0 re-upping of memberships today. $10 in super chats.
I love the whole entire thing where he got $112 in tips and someone calling by Joe Biden 2024 gave him $30. Like, the whole thing is like, Phil, you can make money off of it and just be grateful for the money that you received. You don't need to rely on everything else with it, though. But it's so clear as day that you so invest yourself in money and greed. It's getting to the point where it's just getting old really fast. You Google on tips? Oh, why is no one giving me super chats? Why is no one doing this for me? Why is no one doing that? It's like, Phil, just be grateful you got something and move the fuck on.
And I used to be getting all this supplementary support outside of tips from everyone. And now, ever since these gifted memberships started, that's what I'm in every day now. So that's why my revenue's down.
Yeah, your revenue's down because, A, you yelled at people, telling them to shut the fuck up, and you want their mailing addresses so you can send them spoons. I'm bringing that point yet again. But the whole entire thing, though, is that you're saying, I need this, I need that, but I don't really care about these. But as soon as you get one thing, you're bitching and complaining you're not receiving anything else. It's like, Phil, again, just be grateful for what you got. Move on.
Because no one is re-upping. I think what everyone is doing is they're just thinking, oh, well, I'm just gonna get a free one. So no one's becoming a member anymore.
Phil, again, the fuck you Phil Emporium is open and they're just going to expect free memberships because, again, you're pushing that onto people because you don't shut up about it. But the whole thing with the free memberships, though, you kept saying over and over and over that people are getting free memberships. And now it's like, oh, I guess people are wanting free memberships. They don't want to pay anymore. So again, sowing the seeds of your own demise yet again.
And that's killing me, you know? Like, I can't fix that.
Oh, it's killing you, Phil? Do you not feel any feeling in your right arm or your left arm? Are you having a stroke?
But that's just a perfect example. We just had an engaged stream. Everyone was having a good time. Great progress. Tips were great. And literally, that was it. Like, no one did anything else but tip today, which is fine.
I love the fact that someone in his own chat was saying, I thought you asked for tips because they would help the most. Again, this is Phil's words coming out to bite him in the ass yet again. You know, karma. Because the whole thing of Phil, he's keep constantly begging for tips. And as soon as he gets tips, but he doesn't get anything else, he shouldn't be yelling at his audience for not giving him super chats when they're giving him tips. But again, he's never going to be grateful for what he has received.
I'm not complaining. I'm just making a factual observation.
I hate the fact that every single time he wants to say he doesn't complain, he's stating factual observations. Phil, you're complaining. Stop telling your audience that you're stating factual observations when it's just complaints of a drunken fool. It's always going to be that. But when people actually bring factual observations to you, you don't like it, and you want them gone.
Because people are like, oh, he's making it up, or, oh, you know, he's over-exaggerating. No, I used to have, like today, I would have had all the tips I got, plus I would have had re-upping of memberships, super chats. I'm getting nothing anymore. It's like nothing. Zero.
Oh, boo fucking who, Phil? Just cry me a river, why don't ya?
Zero. And this is an ongoing problem, and I don't know how to fix that. You know, I just don't. Any suggestions that you guys have? I don't know what to do to make people do the things they used to do when they're getting them for free.
Phil, before you take a sip of your water, stop relying on your audience for feedback. Stop relying on your audience to tell you what you need to fucking do. That is entirely up to you. You need to figure out what the fuck is going on and why people are not giving you money, and you need to figure out how to fix it. Your audience is not there to fix your own fucking problems while you sew your mouth shut. That is the entirety of a stream. You need to provide the entertainment. You need to find ways to keep your streams entertaining and engaging and let the audience enjoy. Don't put all the work on your audience when in reality they're just sitting there trying to have a good time when you're just killing their chill. Now glob glob glob, killing the vibe juice.
You know, maybe we need to brainstorm this and seriously talk about it, right?
Hey Phil, I thought you have a suggestion box, but yet you got rid of that.
Because this is going to be an ongoing problem forever now, until YouTube fixes it, which they haven't. YouTube didn't fix anything.
What is there to fix, Phil? What is there to fix that YouTube needs to come to you, be like, hey, I heard you're having problems, let's fix it together? Nothing. Because the whole shit that you're bringing up with this exploit with the memberships, it's just a bunch of fucking bullshit. And that's all it is coming from you.
I don't even know what to say or do to make it better. It's not something that I'm doing wrong. It's a fucking loophole. It's a problem that YouTube needs to fix, and they don't fix shit. They take...
No, Phil, it's a loophole that you created for yourself. You're creating the vicious cycle. YouTube is not doing any of it. What you're doing is using YouTube as a catalyst for you to make money, but at the same time, though, you're still creating this problem all on yourself. Because now you're inviting people to your own problem, and the RSP should be declined immediately.
Forever. So, you know, what else can I do? I don't know. Anyway... all right, guys, that's it for today. Great.
Yeah, that's it for today, guys. I'm gonna just bear all my problems to you, and you need to fix it, but I'm just gonna go eat dinner that my wife made for me, and you can't have it. Yum, yum, yum. Smells like tuna in here. This whole entire stream that he did was just for him to try to make more money from his dents more and more by bringing up the investments, which is just a new chair, new microphone, or just ways to improve his audio when he could just do that all on his own. phone. For God's sakes, Phil, you have a good enough microphone that you can just adjust the audio levels to make sure that you and your wife can hear it. But at the same time, though, Phil just wants to make up more excuses to why he needs more money. It's like, Phil, why ask people for money when your wife is barely going to be involved with it? It looks like you two did not have fun with it, and yet you want to say that that was the best stream you had with your wife, and it was just awful. The whole other things with it, though, with Skull and Bones, a missed opportunity to make content out of it, just turned into a big fucking rant about friends. Fuck you and your friends for enjoying a game, even though if it's good or bad, and having experiences with it. Phil, don't be mad at people that they have friends to actually enjoy games with. I mean, for God's sakes, if you were more of a nicer person, you would have friends to actually play these games with and try to have a better experience, but that's something that you'll never have. Instead, you'll just have your wife, your cat, and your house, with all the fruit flies and the ants to go with it. And yet he wants to continue go on and on and on about how he needs that money. He really, really does. It is just a big fucking waste of time. Yet he wants to keep going on and on about how the tips are more important, but once he gets the tips, oh, now all of a sudden he needs those super chats. Phil, just be grateful for what you have and just move the fuck on. But you're gonna keep acting like a child every single time you don't get the money that you believe that you're entitled to. If you really need money that badly, Phil, just call 1-800-CASH now and you should get that money, but that'll just put you more into debt. But I am done with that, though. I'm going to end it off with a Phil prayer. Deliver us from the dents, deliver us from the pay pigs, deliver us from the pignosis. May we never come dented. May we never come a beggar like Darkside Phil. Just for the love of God, if you have friends, enjoy what you want to do with your friends. Even if they're in real life or internet friends, just have good experiences. Something that Phil would never seem to have. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Have a good rest of y'all's day, rest of y'all's night. Keep it real, beautiful people. I'll see you in the next video. Or, if someone is streaming, I think Atlas is streaming now. Go check him out. He's good.